Hey guys, welcome back to Honey Rock Acres. My name is Storm, and today I'm going to actually try to get caught up on a lot of the maintenance stuff that I've been needing to do pretty much all winter. So what I'd really like to do is work on the greenhouse, but rain, followed by snow, followed by rain, it's just not in the cards. So instead of stalling and doing nothing, it's about time I start getting caught up on the gator work and the lawnmower work and all that stuff. So I ordered a bunch of parts, and the first thing that come in is stuff for the push mower. So I hate weed eating, so the more that I can either cut with a bush hog, cut with a zero turn, or even push mow, I prefer that to weed eating. Now unfortunately, in my pile of junk that is all over my garage, it's actually back there behind the chicken plucker and the wood chipper and everything else. So I'm gonna see if I can't climb back there and get that out. Okay, that was not the most graceful thing I've ever done, but it's out. If you're trying to follow along, see if this is applicable to what you're working on. This is a Husqvarna LC 221A, but honestly that doesn't necessarily matter because this same engine setup I found is on a ton of other brands. So this is a Briggs Stratton 675 EXI, and it's got one of those auto adjusting carbs on it. So we're gonna get that pulled off, put the new one on, and see if it works. And if everything goes well, you know, I'll share a link to the one that I purchased. I also bought a new filter because this thing's toast. So I've already gone through, I've tried carb cleaner and put fuel stabilizer, put fresh fuel through it. None of that's worked. On this particular model, it looks like we got 4 screws. All right, go ahead and set this somewhere where I'll lose it. Of course, they'd have 2 different sizes. Okay, let's see what we got. Also, I'd recommend not turning it over on its side when you're getting it out, because I definitely spilled fuel out of the carburetor. I'll get the fuel line off. So let me show you what we got. So what happened is I was actually having a hard time getting the throttle cable off the carburetor and also get the fuel line off the carburetor, because the fuel line's only about that long from the bottom of the tank, and so I couldn't get my hands around that. I didn't want to chew it up too bad with pliers, so I was trying to twist the carburetor, but I couldn't get that off because of the way that the throttle cable connects, which I'll show you here in a second. So you'll just kind of have to navigate that. They probably all connect just a little different, so it might just be a little nuance of this one, but got that off. Had a little bit more fuel in the tank than I thought I had, so had to kind of scramble to, you know, catch that. But yeah, you should be more prepared than I was. Let me show you what we got. All right, so this is the carburetor. Let's get you up here. This is the carburetor that came off of it. You know, if you look online for these, this is what you'll usually see in the pictures. One of the things that you'll note is these Easy Start auto adjust ones. They have this extra piece here that actually sits on here like that, this piece here. And not all of these aftermarket ones come with that, so you might have to take the one off your old carb. But yeah, that's what we got. I'll show you both sides here. This just kind of pops in. There's no bolts that actually hold this in. It's just the face of the air cleaner box. The bolts that go through that kind of keep it all tight. Yeah, not much to it. It's a normal plastic cheap carburetor. Here's a new one. Haven't put the seals in it yet. Front of it, back of it. I don't see any discrepancies, so we're gonna get this put on and see if it works. Now, let me bring you down here and show you. Alright, so here's our throttle cable, which I was talking about. I actually had to bend it just a little bit to get it out, so I'll straighten that back up. And this is this auto adjustment piece. I left it on here just to show you. Sorry about the shadows. So we'll get the new one put on and it'll fit right there. And then of course your fuel line is a little bit out of shot here, but just comes off the bottom of the tank. Like I said, all the models are probably a little bit different, but this engine is pretty common from what I've seen. Looks like the old seal might be a little more substantial than the new one. The old gasket, we'll see how it goes. And just a word of note, this is actually a plastic retaining ring. That's what actually pops into that, and it looks like your rubber washers on the back side. So I'm thinking it just came with a couple of extras. Alright, I'm going to bring you back down here again and kind of show you what we've done. Alright, let's see if we get a better light this time maybe. So, nothing special. This groove here, there's a little barb here on the side. I'll show you the original. Not this barb for the fuel line, but this little piece here slides into this groove and presses back until on the back side this little ring snaps over a piece right back there, and it just kind of sits in there, and you'll feel it kind of click in. Then our little piece here, our auto adjuster, that goes on here. It'll pop back onto this piece here, and then of course our throttle right back there. So now we just gotta kind of put some pieces back together, but well, I still got to put the fuel line on it. Once I get the fuel line on it, I may see if it won't act a little bit better before we get the air box and everything back on. We're ready to try to give this thing a crank, see what it'll do. Okay, that was kind of funny. I was not paying attention to the fact that the paper towel had gotten so close and it pulled the paper towel in and shredded it, and it kind of scared me. So pay more attention than I did, because now I've got a mess to clean up. But the good news is we know that it worked. Last thing, while I did buy a cheaper carburetor than straight from Briggs Stratton, I did decide to just go ahead and buy an actual Briggs Stratton air filter because they weren't expensive. That should be pretty much it. Hopefully that'll help with two things. One, this actually has a bagger on the back of it. And two, because of that, it won't be throwing grass all over the place. So every time I go by it with my zero turn, you know, it throw grass all up in the garden and all up in the raised beds and all that stuff. So hopefully this will help us get around the greenhouse once it's done, and maybe go around the closer parts of the garden so we're not throwing stuff all up in the beds. I'm gonna get cleaned up and then we'll do one more, you know, test pull, make sure it starts again, and I guess we'll call that a day. Pretty much done with that. That wasn't too bad. I'm gonna give it one more quick pull before we go, and then one last thing I noticed, which I probably should have checked before, but it needs a blade, like really bad. So we'll get a blade bought for it. Shouldn't be too much. It's I think that's a 21-inch mower. Pretty sure that's what the 221 is. But anyways, I'll take a look at it and we'll get another blade for it soon. But we're gonna test fire it and make sure one more time and call it a day. Anyways, thanks for watching. Have a good day.